What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. Now, if you're new, let me give you a little bit of a breakdown on exactly what I do here so that you can understand what's going on, okay? What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical level so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results with what it is that I'm teaching here on my public channel, simply by applying your observation and awareness. Very easy to do, okay? Let me also give you a little bit of a perspective on who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, because that is definitely something that is very important, especially in regards to psychic self-development, okay? My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck, and I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology, okay? So, with all that being said, what exactly is going to be the topic of our today's video? Now, this is going to be a very, very, very important video, okay? So, I am going to be discussing the 7 densities of consciousness that exist within the universe itself, okay? So, some of you who are reoccurring viewers to my YouTube channel, some of you who are subscribers, have noticed that in my more so recent videos, I've been mentioning different densities, okay? Going all the way from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th to 7th density, basically, okay? And a lot of you generally kind of have the awareness of what these densities are referring to as I'm speaking about them in my previous YouTube videos. But then I know there's a large portion of you who have no idea what a density actually is and what it represents, especially in regards to the 7 main densities of consciousness, okay? So that is exactly what I'm going to be breaking down within this today's video. This is very important information to understand, especially if you're someone who considers themselves spiritually evolving, okay? If you are a spiritual person, it will serve you to understand this concept very much, okay? So, if this is something you're interested in, definitely stay tuned. Okay, so let's go into it. So the general context of the densities is that there are 7 main densities of consciousness. And then as you move into the 8th density, this is the density where you get reabsorbed back into the source and then enter into a brand new universe. Okay, so every single universe has an octave of densities. An octave meaning there are 8 densities, but within those 8 densities, it's primarily 7 densities where there is work that is done, okay? So once again, every single universe follows these laws and follows these principles. And then there are sub-densities and there are sub-sub-densities, and it can get very nuanced and very detailed, but we're going to keep it simple, we're going to keep it practical, and we're going to keep it general just so that people can understand the concept of the densities, okay? So every single universe that exists within the multiverse has an octave of roughly 7 densities where work needs to be done. And you travel going all the way from the 1st density, moving upwards to the 8th, eventually absorbing yourself into the source, okay? This is the general process of evolution for every single living entity. And when I say living, I don't mean just with a physical chemical body, I mean on an energetic consciousness level, okay? A spiritual level, living, okay? So everything is progressing in regards to its evolution and how it travels back to the source, so to speak. Obviously, between the differences of universes, there are you could say, higher level beings than others. There are universes that are much more advanced and much more evolved than others. But even within those higher evolved universes, there still exists the octave of densities. Okay? So now I'm going to generally be speaking about these different densities. Okay? Now, if you want to do some more research on your end of these densities, then I would highly recommend looking into the book called The Law of One: Contact with Ra. If you want to get it, you can purchase it on audio, or you could just purchase the book yourself and read through it. Okay, this is where this information is coming from, and it's very profound, very advanced information. Okay, now I'm going to be reading off of this website that I found that is discussing the 7 densities in a very general way, just so that I can really break it down for those of you who are listening to this video, so that you can generally understand the densities. Okay, that is the point, to keep it simple. Now, obviously, as I said, within the different densities, there is a lot of nuance, there is a lot of subtlety, there is a lot of different avenues and details and different dynamics that take place within the different densities. But this video is mainly just to give you a generalized perspective of what is contained within a nutshell within each density and how they differ from one another. Okay, so we're going to move into the first one. The first density represents beingness and awareness. Okay, so this is going to be similar to the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and air. Okay, so before there was ever any life on this planet, physical life or spiritual life, there was pure being. And that pure being existed between the 4 elements, as I just mentioned, and these 4 elements interacted with one another and then essentially produced consciousness through that evolution of pure beingness. Okay, it eventually created forms of life. Okay, but the first density, to give you an example, would be something like a rock. Okay, something like literally a piece of plastic. Okay, something like a fire. Okay, something like water, bodies of water. Okay, what else? The air itself. This is all first density materials or first density elements. Okay, now I'm going to read off some more in regards to the first density. The first density is associated with the red ray energy body. Okay, so when I'm speaking about this, you're going to find some correspondence between these rays and the chakra system. This is where the chakra system originates from these energy bodies. Okay, if you're someone who studies my YouTube channel, in regards to the evolutionary path that I'm on, I do not find it beneficial whatsoever to do any sort of chakra meditations or chakra work. And there are many reasons for that. I've discussed it many times before. And if you're someone who's on the path that I'm on as a negatively polarized being, you absolutely do not need to be doing chakra work. And it's actually in your best interest not to, because there are much more beneficial ways to increase your energetic potential and power, ultimately. Okay, so as I'm reading off these energy bodies, these are going to be, once again, in the same color formation as the 7 chakra system. But I want you to listen to what I'm saying and take what serves you and throw away what doesn't serve you. Just know that every single energetic being does contain these levels of energy bodies. Okay, it's not necessarily like these different specific areas on your body that you would consider to be chakras, but you could think of it as complete energy bodies that exist in different areas within, you could say, time space itself. Okay, and naturally, as you evolve, you are further increasing your awareness of these different energy bodies. You're further developing them, you're tuning them, and you're learning ultimately how to utilize them to your evolutionary benefit. Okay, so just to give you this perspective. Okay, here we go. So the first density is associated with the red ray energy body. Okay, this includes all organic matter. Okay, it's the atomic body: fire, air, earth, water, and aether. Okay, so generally this is exactly what the first density is, okay? Now we're going to go into the second density. The second density is the density of movement and growth. So to give you a general example of movement and growth or beings of the second density, this would be something in regards to plants, trees, animals, bacterial life. Okay, this is to give you some general perspective of the second density, insects. The second density is associated with the orange ray energy body. This includes all biological life from single cell microbes to plants to animals. And it includes the chemical body. Okay? Now, when we're talking about the second density, this is where awareness starts to form. Okay, this is where awareness starts to form in regards to interacting with the world around you. Okay, so the first density was just raw, pure being. There's no sort of awareness really of the self. It's just in this purest form of just beingness. Okay, then within the second density, you have the rise of awareness, more so in association with the instinctual awareness. Okay, listening to the instincts. There is no self-awareness of being able to analyze the self and then make self-conscious decisions, but there is awareness to a degree of the self existing in an environment that it needs to survive within. Okay, but there is no ability to be self-conscious and analyze the thoughts or analyze the thought process within the second density. Okay, then as we move into the third density, this is going to be the density of the yellow ray energy body. This is associated with the chemical body, once again, the physical body. Okay, this is the density where we are, in regards to every single person that's listening to this as a human being species. If you are a human being, if you have a chemical body and you have a spiritual awareness, meaning you have the awareness to analyze your own thoughts and make decisions and make choices, then you have a yellow ray chemical body. Okay, so this is associated with the third density. So any other beings on any other stars or any other planets that have the chemical body and have that level of spiritual awareness to make decisions, they have their third energetic yellow ray body activated. Okay? This is where we are right now as the human species. This is where the veil of forgetting and polarity introduced. Okay, so the veil of forgetting and polarity is introduced within the third density. So for those of you who haven't watched it yet, I have an entire YouTube video. If you scroll down my YouTube channel, you'll find it. Should be very recent, that discusses the veil of forgetting. Okay, this is where the veil of forgetting takes place. Truly, on the deepest level of our energetic roots, we understand past, present, and future all at the same time, because that's truly what exists when you step more so into the time-space. And when you enter into the higher densities, you attune yourself much more to time-space, where past, present, and future all is accessible in the present moments. Okay, but it's within the third density with physical bodies where the veil of forgetting is introduced. And the reason why the veil of forgetting is introduced is because this is the density where you make a choice on which polarity you are choosing for your evolutionary progression. Okay, between the positive or the negative polarity. Okay. And once again, this is where the polarity is introduced. Okay. This is the, let's see, this is the choice between polarity, service to self, or service to others. Once again, that's just what I said. This is the shortest and most intense of the densities. So it's within the third density that this is the most challenging, but also the shortest density that we experience. Okay, it makes sense. Could you imagine living this type of life experience for eternity? Okay. Now, there are a lot of people that get stuck in the cycle of reincarnation, and they basically have to experience physical incarnations within the third density for many years on end. It can go all the way up to 1,000 years where you experience physical incarnations, living different lives within that 1,000-year time frame. And that's if you get stuck within the cycle by not figuring out which polarity you are basically going to be choosing, okay? Then, what else is associated? So this is the catalyst of pain and suffering for growth. This will repeat until it is no longer useful. So the third density is the density of catalyst, pain, suffering, and as I just said in regards to this getting caught in the cycle of reincarnation, you cannot graduate from the third density until you choose a polarity, whether it's the positive polarity or the negative polarity. Meaning if you're in between, if you are in between and you pass away, you are not going to be able to graduate into the next density. Okay, you are going to have to keep repeating the third until you go through the level of challenge, pain, suffering, and catalyst that finally wakes you up to eventually choosing a pathway for your evolution. Okay? All takes place within the third density. Now, when we move into the fourth density, this is the density of love and understanding. Okay, so once again, the third density, I don't know if I mentioned it, the third density is the density of self-awareness and the choice. The fourth density is the density of love and understanding. Okay, so this is the density of the green ray energy body. This is the density of transition from chemical to light body. So that means the physical body is no longer existent within the true fourth density existence. Okay, your physical body dissolves itself, meaning essentially you pass away. And then if you're able to graduate, you incarnate from third into fourth and then step into a light body. Okay, a body that can actually be manipulated through the power of your mind. So shape-shifting is something that can take place in the fourth density and upwards. Okay? Let's take a look here. So for those of you who are ever working with spirits or entities that deal with shape-shifting, you can imagine these most likely are fourth density or higher entities. Okay? This is the density that lasts 30 million years in regards to its evolutionary cycle. Okay, so the fourth density lasts 30 million years for its full evolutionary cycle until the point where you can graduate into the fifth density. Okay, so obviously, as we're looking at it from the perspective of the human species with our third density bodies, this cycle seems extremely long. Now, if we were in the fourth density experience already and we were looking at that same time frame, it may not seem nearly as long as we perceive time. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so the Earth itself has shifted into the fourth density since 2012. So right now we are in the present moment of transitioning from a third density species into a fourth density species, generally speaking. Okay, so this is why we're noticing tons of catalytic experiences, tons of intense experiences. Look, my phone's confirming. Tons of intense experiences are taking place. Lots of chaos, lots of death. It's because we're in this transitioning phase for this planet. And as I said, this is a fourth density planet. So that means if people are not able to transition into fourth density beings, then they no longer have a place. Let me turn that off. Look, my phone is confirming everything I'm saying. Then they no longer have a place on this planet. And that's why we're seeing so much death. Okay? And that is what's taken place. Okay, so now we are going to move into the next density. So the fifth density is going to be the density of light and wisdom. Okay, this density is associated with the blue ray energy body. It's associated with the light body completely. You have a complete light body, which is more dense in its nature than the fourth density. This is the density where you develop powerful psychic abilities. Okay, this is obviously going to be in regards to serious levels of power within the capabilities of the mind, being able to completely manipulate structures, and you can imagine all the different things that you can do with your mind within that fifth density, and that's what takes place. This is where you learn to serve without self-sacrifice. Okay, so traditionally for people that are in the third density, or you could even say fourth density of positive polarity, these people oftentimes serve others to the degree where they actually become martyrs, okay? To the degree where they actually self-sacrifice because they're unaware of the necessary wisdom to further evolve themselves and actually further spread the positive polarity. So basically what I'm saying is that when you look at the specific rituals, like the Good Shepherd rituals that take place, where you have someone that falls into the archetype of Jesus Christ who ends up getting sacrificed and loses everything good because they're just serving other people and they're not really taking into consideration their own physical life experience, that type of person doesn't have the wisdom to say, you know what, maybe if I sacrifice myself trying to serve others because I think that's more important, maybe, just maybe, that's actually going to turn other people off from wanting to choose the positive polarity. Okay, so it's within the fifth density where specifically when it comes to positive polarized beings, where they learn to serve others without self-sacrifice. Okay, because the fifth density is associated with light, which is truly awareness and wisdom. So why would you sacrifice yourself if you don't necessarily have to, especially if your goal is to spread that polarity of the positive polarity, when the majority of the people in the environment would never want to self-sacrifice themselves. So that means they would refrain from wanting to join the positive polarity. And yeah, so that's more so of a positive polarized perspective with the fifth density. This is the density where you balance out love with light. Okay, so this is going to be exactly that. You're balancing out your ability to be aware, be consciously aware of cosmic laws and where you're headed as a soul and a spirit, and also being able to balance out love, whether it's between love for others or love for yourself. So there is a balancing that is taking place within the fifth density that is very profound. Okay, this is why traditionally, even when it comes to the negative polarity, the fifth and sixth density negatively polarized beings oftentimes aren't going to be as concerned with the third density beings. Okay, there's a lot of, I want to say this, there's a lot more fourth density negative beings that like to completely obliterate and destroy third density beings that are either positively polarized or in the middle. And the fourth density negative beings are more so likely to try to interfere with third density awareness. Okay, so when you're dealing with the higher up densities, the point that I'm trying to make, like the fifth and the sixth density, specifically within the negative polarity, these beings are dealing with lessons more so of balancing. Not saying that they definitely don't interfere with the third density, that they don't interfere with third density planets or stars and things in that nature, but they definitely are spending more time and more of their energy focusing on balancing themselves so that they can progress even farther down the densities. Okay, but once again, when we're looking at the fourth density negative polarized beings, these beings spend a lot of time and energy interfering with third density civilizations and third density planets and species. Okay, so that's exactly what's going on there. And the fifth density is the old soul. So if you've ever come across someone that says, oh yeah, I'm an old soul, oftentimes people that really feel that resonance that they are an old soul, that is associated with somebody who is vibrating at a fifth density energetic level. So oftentimes these individuals, if they're actually serious when they say that, are wanderers from the fifth density, going from the fifth density, traveling back to the third. Okay? Now we're going to go into the sixth density. So the sixth density is the density of unity and balance. Okay, this is the density of unity and balance. So this is the density of the indigo ray body. This is the density of perfect balance of love and light. And it is achieved within this density in the later portions of the density. Service to self path cannot polarize past the sixth density. So this means that within the mid to late sixth density, if you're on the negative polarized path, you have to make a transference to the positive polarity. Now, obviously, the more you polarize as a negative being up until that mid to late 6th density, the more easy that transference is going to be to the positive polarity. It's like a switching over, okay? But this has to take place within the 6th density, because in order to get to the 7th and then absorb yourself into the source, there is no polarity that exists. There is only unity, and there is only love and light, essentially, okay? So that takes place within the 6th density. All polarization from service to others is gained. This is the density that turns back to act as the higher self to all previous incarnations in order to complete polarization into the 7th density. So your higher self is the future version of you that is existing within the 6th density. Now, when the 6th density, or think of it like this, the version of yourself that exists within the 7th density sends back, let's see, hold on, let me make sure I read this property. Okay, yeah, so there's, and I'm going to make a whole video on this, but there are 3 primary aspects to your higher self. There's a version of your higher self that exists within the 7th density that then sends a projection of itself down to the 6th density. And that 6th density version of your higher self is the higher self version that communicates with you and all the other lower densities. So right now, as you're listening to this, you're getting a large amount of your evolutionary guidance and protection from your own higher self, which exists within the mid to late 6th density. And your mid to late 6th density self has another higher self that exists in the 7th density. And you could literally think of it as the 7th density version of your higher self is the most powerful, dense version of your being, but it can't influence your lower density experiences directly because it's focusing on much higher level truths and principles and practices and experiences that it needs to get into the absorption stage of the 8th density. So what the 7th density does is it sends a projection of itself down to the 6th density within the mid to late 6th density that acts as your own personalized higher self, okay? And I will make a whole YouTube video on that concept because I know it can get a little bit confusing. Let's see here. This density, the 6th density, the full cycle of the 6th density lasts 75 million years, okay? So obviously that is a very long incarnation within the 6th density to our human perspective. But once again, if we were in a different density, like the 6th density, this may not seem as long as we perceive it with our sense of time, okay? Then as we move into the 7th density, this is the density that is called the gateway to eternity. So essentially, this is the gateway to the source itself. This is the density that is associated with the violet ray energy body. It's associated with the light body completely, once again, a much more dense form of the light body. This is the final density in our octave, which is our universe. All personal identity is absorbed into the all within this density. It serves as a guide to the higher self in the 6th density, as I just explained. And this is the density that is 1 foot in time and 1 foot in eternity. So there is literally a part of your complete beingness and awareness that is in time. And then there's a part of your beingness that is literally source itself, like completely. Okay? And that takes place within the 7th density. And that would be the last density within the octave. And then after the 7th, you get absorbed within the 8th and enter into a completely new universe, starting back at the 1st density, okay? And that is generally exactly what the densities represent. So this is exactly what I wanted to share. Definitely look into this information. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, you know, I gave you the sources to study. It's very important to understand because these are concepts that are very real concepts. These do exist, and once again, it will serve you very highly to gain a perspective on these concepts. So that is going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, definitely come down here and hit the thumbs up button. Also come down here and hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can, and with content like this, you absolutely do not want to be missing out. Trust me, okay? Then as you move into this area of the YouTube drop down, you're going to see there's that subscribe button, okay? Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because if you really want to get the most bang for your buck, if you really want to get the most value from this content, then subscribe to the content because there's a real energetic principle that goes behind that, okay? If you don't want as much value, then absolutely forget about it, okay? Now, the next thing I want to say is that you have my full permission to copy and paste this link and send it out to anybody, family, friends, social media platforms, you name it. You have my full permission to send this content outward, specifically, especially if there are individuals that you feel like it would offer value to, okay? My intention is to spread this content like a wildfire, okay? And to build up my empire in the process. And that's exactly what has been taking place and what will continue to take place, okay? The next thing that I want to say is if you come down here, you're going to see my Instagram handle, JER_477, super easy to type in. Check me out on social media platforms. Also, if you want to follow me on TikTok, I have a TikTok that I recently made where I post clips of my YouTube videos that are specific clips that are very valuable information. Okay? If you go into the YouTube description and you scroll down, you're eventually going to see a section that has my social medias, and you're going to find my TikTok right in there. Okay? Now, the next thing that I want to say is if you would like to join within a private Facebook community, also within that same YouTube drop-down description, you're going to eventually see a post within there that says private Facebook community. Underneath that post, there's a link. You can click that link and you can follow it. Eventually, it will take you to a place where you can request to join within the private Facebook community. And this is a group of people of over 470 individuals that are posting on a daily basis, and there is very valuable information that is being posted within this private Facebook group. I'm telling you. And it's an entire vault of occult literature. If you check on the file section of the private Facebook community, you're literally going to see an entire library of some of the best, most powerful occult authors and literatures that you can find just from people that are posting it in the group itself. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, you know exactly what to do. Okay? Now, the next thing that I want to say is definitely go into the YouTube description, click that little drop down. You're going to see at the very top, there's a link. This is the first link. You can't miss it. This link is the most important link within the entirety of the YouTube description. This is my Patreon, okay? On my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content. None of this content is on my public YouTube channel, and that is for many different reasons. I have content in the form of live streams, blog posts, and videos that are very similar to this one, except all these different avenues that I just mentioned are more personal and more advanced than what you're getting on my public YouTube channel, okay? Then as you move into tier 3 and up, you're gaining access to an entire magic training course, which is extremely valuable, especially if you are a beginner occultist and you're looking for a structured format to follow to start developing your own psychic powers and capabilities. Okay, that would be for tier 3 and up for the magic training course. Then as you move into tier 4, this is the highest tier. This is not only the highest tier, this is also the most popular tier on the Patreon. This is what's known as the Universe.B Vampire Service. Okay, the Universe.B Vampire Service is a service that I perform on the participants on the 29th of every single month that has a 29th. And I perform a very advanced occult ritual on those individuals to completely change their energetic structures to be more so Universe.B dominant. Okay, so essentially what that means is more so negatively polarized. And what that does to these individuals is it gives them an ability to exist within the darker areas of the multiverse itself without being harmed by them or affected by them in an unbeneficial way, but rather gaining knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power from them instead. Okay? This also gives these individuals an ability to be more so receptive to their unconscious and subconscious mind, which is dark, feminine in nature. And it also gives them a psychic capability to pull in dark energy and chaos from the environment and then transmute it within themselves to turn it into their evolutionary power and potential. Okay? This is all accessible to Tier 4 Patreon link, first link in the YouTube description, Universe.B Vampire Service. Okay? If this is something you're interested in, you know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to give a special shout out to everyone specifically who is a Patreon member for taking your knowledge, your practices, and your studies really to that other side. Huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. None of that goes unknown, okay? The next thing that I want to say is if you come down to the second link in the YouTube description, this is where you can book your own personalized tarot card reading from me, okay? In this tarot card reading, I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree, which makes it different from any other reading you've ever received before. Trust me, okay? And I can literally tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through within the present moment, then what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future based on your travels through that Kabbalistic tree, okay? I've done well over 600 readings at this point. I do a reading almost every single day. I get tons of valuable feedback. If this is something that you would like to take advantage of, you know exactly what you need to do. Second link below, book your reading. Okay, now as you move into the third link, this is where you can join within the YouTube membership by obviously becoming a YouTube member. You can enter into the YouTube community with all the other YouTube members. You get tons of different benefits for being in the community. But most importantly, you're gaining access to what's called the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program, which means that as soon as you become a YouTube member, you're gaining access to a sequence of emojis that I've created myself based on real occult principles. And you can use these emojis in a certain configuration, link in the name of a target, and then hit enter, and it will actually cause psychic effects to your target in a form of psychic warfare. Okay, it is literally the most simple form of using psychic warfare through the internet itself. Okay, there are almost 2,000 posts already where individuals have used this program. There are even individuals right now in this moment that are taking advantage of it. Okay, if this is something that you would like to take advantage of yourself, definitely join within the YouTube membership. Okay, now this is the last link in the description. This is the fourth link below. This is where you can purchase your Emf Incense Sticks, electromagnetic frequency incense sticks that are created by myself. These are very unique incense sticks. They are nothing like the traditional sticks. I create them myself. I pre-package them with energy. There's an occult formula that goes into them to create 100% manifestation. There's real monatomic gold that soaks into the sticks, as well as real essential oil. And then at the base level where they soak for 24 hours or longer, there is real quartz crystals and real citrine quartz crystals that are charging with them. Okay? Once again, these are very different than your traditional incense sticks. If this is something that you want to get your hands on and have a 50-pack bundle, then definitely check it out. Fourth link in the YouTube description. We're going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all very much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are. And I will see you in the very near future. Peace.